Identity is what you find yourself as when you're with a group of people. It's who you are around the clock. It's your talent, your passion, your love. Identity in Christ is who Christ made you to be and how you're going to achieve that. Who you are in Christ. That's all identity in Christ is. And it's very important. It's not one of those questions we won't know the answer to until we go through heaven's gates. It's actually a question we've got to answer early on in our Christian faith. It's our due diligence to do this. Why do we have to do this? It's because if we don't, and we make oaths and promises based off of the Bible or biblical teachings, we may have made them to maybe not who we are in Christ. Forget worldly identity, my talents or hobbies. Although those are gifts from God, and I'll probably be using them in my identity in Christ, there is a specific identity in Christ that we have to find secure in. And I'm going to be talking about specifically my situation, my identity with Christ. I'm going to be asking questions as but it's not directly towards you. It's not who you are, and my conclusion certainly won't be your conclusion. But if it is, welcome to the party. But if it isn't, it's totally fine. Use the questions and find your personal identity in Christ. So I'm going to start off with basic how I found my identity in Christ, and now who I am in Christ. But it's going to start in the very beginning. It's going to be starting at my Genesis. I was born to a family that I don't know their last name. I can tell you that my biological mother, she was very upset, sad that she was pregnant, because there's some things that you can trace back to my mother drinking and smoking while I was in the womb. Yeah, totally good start. I get to be born directly into sin. I get to have issues because of sin. Voila. All right. So immediately off the bat, I won't have a pretty good identity from the beginning. But that's okay for me. Why? Well, think about it. Okay? I was 6 months old when my parents, my real parents, came by because they heard about my name through a foster care agency. My mom prayed a prayer, and right away, I was blessed. I was raised by a good Christian family who constantly sought out God, who constantly sought out good children who would obey God and His commandments. But I walked away from those. Why? Well, let's just say I didn't know how to find my identity. Although I was giving teachings about this almighty being that cared about us, I didn't know He cared about me specifically. So I didn't know I needed to be close to Him. I just thought, okay, He cares for us. As long as the group's okay, I'm okay. And the group was okay because my mom was in it. My dad was in it. And they loved God. So, why did I not find my identity until just 3 months ago? I had no identity in anything. I began not to care at all. My life was miserable. I couldn't hide away. He loves us all equally. And if you compare yourself to other people, you won't be able to see that. Because you'll be like, wait, but they could have this. They could have this and this and this. They say they're Christian, I'm Christian, and I'm more of a Christian than they are. No, He loves us all equally. He gave us different situations to be in for His purpose. He gave us different gifts for His purpose, different paths for His purpose. And if you compare, and if you dive on that, and you're like, I can't find my identity, this person finds my identity, you'll never find your identity, because your identity is between you and God. Your identity is your own. It's very hard to understand where's the end. How do I know I know my identity in Christ? How do I know? The answer is very simple. You will want to use every single talent you have for Him. And that seems kind of stupid. It's very important that you understand that God is a creator and He made everyone different. He made you specifically different. And if you see yourself with parallels with somebody else, cool. That's great. But he placed you in different scenarios and different situations than them. As E4 lifers, that should not be that smooth, honestly. That should not roll off the tongue like that. E4 lifers. How is faith connected to your identity in Christ? Well, if you read Hebrews 11, it goes down a list of people. Let me just read one. By faith, Sarah herself received power to conceive even when she was past the age, since he considered himself who had promised. She had faith. That's just one example. There's several examples. Who else? We have Jacob, Moses, we have David, Samuel, Gideon. All of these people had faith in God. But then if you look at their identity in Christ, it's very clearly. Who is Sarah? She was married to Abraham. Abraham was promised by God to create a nation. If you connect the dots, you realize Abraham got the promise from God, but also he needs Sarah in order to make the promise of God to happen. And it's only by Sarah that it could happen, because I'm pretty sure Abraham could not give birth, hopefully. So we've got these two parts, and Sarah had faith, and she was granted the blessing to give birth. Her identity was in God and his promise, and her faith helped her connect that clearly. I found my identity in Christ because I'm believing in what God is trying to tell me to do. It's what God is showing me, what God is teaching me. I'm saying God is because, no, he's not talking to me in some booming voice down from heaven, although that would be pretty epic. He gave me his breathing, living word. He's giving me teachers over me. He's given me pastors. He's given me counselors. He has given me family members, and he's given me just leaders in general, and giving them the ability to speak into my life and helping me find who I am in Christ. This was tough because all my life I didn't fit anywhere. I wasn't smart. I made people laugh. That didn't stick. I'm not romantic, although I love romance. All right, don't get me wrong. I love romance. So that was bad. There's so many things that I've tried to find myself identified with, and it never ever worked out. It always disappointed, and I had to switch. And now I'm here, and I'm confirmed in my identity in Christ. My identity in Christ is specific between me and him. Identity is wherever you go. Identity in Christ is who you are spiritually, who you are emotionally, who you are as a Christian 24/7, 7 days a week. From 9 to 5, from 5 to 9. Yeah, it doesn't stop. It doesn't stop when I walk home and enter through the doors. It doesn't stop when I lay in bed. It doesn't stop when I get up for work the next morning. It doesn't stop if I'm reading his word or if I'm partying somewhere else. It never stops. Your identity in Christ is permanent. It's a permanent mark. How did I get comforted in my identity in Christ? Was there a snap? Where is there all of a sudden, oh, I'm a Christian, this is my identity in Christ. Yeah, let's go, man. Yeah. No, I didn't. It's honestly, by faith, I believe I do. I'm Kenneth Carls. I was born. Biological family didn't want me. A family wanted me. They loved me. I loved them back. School taught me that I wasn't academically gifted. I learned not to take that to heart. When it comes to spiritual and deeper things, am I able to go toe-to-toe with the greatest philosophers alive? No. But am I able to grasp the basics and understand who's God and his love for me? Absolutely. God doesn't change. Ever. So why should my identity change? God doesn't care the situation. He cares about how you handle it. You can see this time and time again. He puts people through trials. Because God died on the cross for us, our spot in heaven, that's our promised land, is never going to be taken away. As long as we stay close to Him and know that we are to follow Him as the bride of Christ, we'll be safe. As long as we know our role and we know God's role. I trust that if I do what He has told me to do, that I'll be fine. It's tough. It's tough to believe sometimes. But I have faith that even in my most doubtful moments, that it's true. Even when Satan is lying in my ear, then I'm like, God, please, I'm believing this to be true. I'm believing this to be true. You said it was true, Lord, please. I think I've explained it well enough.